like Louisiana and Brazil are very similar because you have a lot of a welcoming. They have a celebrating culture like Brazil have. You got Mardi Gras, we got Carnival, you got corrupt politicians. So do we. So it's a joke, people. But it is, yeah.
It's true. Welcome to Under the Knife, the podcast where we cut into topics such as politics, life advice, and medicine, and we do this with the precision of a licensed orthopedic surgeon. I'm your host, Dr. Craig Green, an orthopedic surgeon and elected public official. All right, welcome, Flavia. What a beautiful name. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we call it Under the Knife. As you know, I'm an orthopedic surgeon,
yes,
but also involved in politics and the community, and so it's where we dissect life, politics, whatever we want to talk about. So thanks. You have a unique background and
unusual
contribution to society. So why don't you tell everybody about a minute or three about Flavia?
Well, Flavia is originally from Brazil,
okay,
a little city called Fortaleza, the northeast of Brazil.
Okay.
Tourist city, beautiful city, but I'm biased.
Yes.
So I fell in love with a Louisiana boy, and 20 years later,
the rest
here
of the
we are.
Story,
yes.
Yeah. So, and then tell us about your profession.
I am an immigration attorney.
Okay.
So I did law school in Brazil, and while I was in law school, I met my husband. I came here. My brother was going.
What was he doing in Brazil?
Actually, I came here.
Okay.
My brother was going to school. Was going to college in the U.S. And we came. The whole family came to visit my brother. And he introduced me to his friend.
And here we are.
Yes, and I did the two things I said I wouldn't do, which is say date long distance and get married.
Yeah.
So
and you
wham,
both.
wham, check.
Yeah. Be careful what you say you're not going to do,
I know.
right?
They said never say never, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us about the current, you can't use names and stuff, but what are some of the current challenges you're facing with immigration? There's a lot going on.
Yes. Immigration is a very challenging field. Because it's constantly changing. The law remains the same, but the policies change depending on administrations, and that's you have to be very, very focused on what's going on politically because that could affect the future of your client. So
now let me ask you this. And let's leave the Republican Democrat thing on the side and just say, let's say you and I were in charge. Right? What are 3 or 4 core principles to fix the problem that we have with immigration right now? Because the backbone of America is we want immigrants. We're all immigrants, but I believe in the process, right? And is it that our process couldn't accommodate the volume, or we didn't have a right process, or what are your thoughts on all of that?
My thoughts is because it's politically charged. I think the tools in order to solve the immigration problem are available to us, but I think the perception of what the solutions are going to be is what is triggering politically. So,
because it seems like there's different problems. Let's say you want to come to America, but you're not here yet. But then there's also those that are here that didn't come in through the process. And so do you send them away, or is there a different process for them?
I do. There is a process for people that come to U.S. to seek relief from persecution,
sure,
which it always happened in U.S. happened in World War II. There were a lot of immigrants from Europe that came through, fleeing war. Happened to Ukrainians just recently. We received some refugees from Ukraine fleeing war. So is that the tools are here, always been here. The problem is the perception that people have in receiving a large amount of immigrants.
All at once.
Yes, all at once. So it creates a perception. I think there is a way, to me, as speaking as an immigration lawyer, the route to solve the problem is giving more work visas. If somebody want to come here to work, there is a proper channels. Right. There's the correct way to do it.
Right.
And
plus, then they're coming to contribute.
They'll pay taxes because they come here working legally with the proper authorization. So this would be a no-brainer. But then it comes also the perception that people have, oh, they come here to steal American jobs, right? So there's all, which if you talk to anybody that does the receives or procure work visas, the majority of the visas are for people that, for jobs that are not being fulfilled by Americans.
Sure.
So
that's well put. Well said.
Yes.
Sometimes Americans can be lazy.
No, but it's just, I don't say lazy.
Yeah.
I say just like they're used to a different type of work.
Right.
Right?
Right.
They're raised
That's better
different.
said.
Yeah, but it's true. They're raised a little different, and they have different expectations, I guess.
Well, and two, you think about what's going on in the world. I think that a lot of the manufacturing is coming back to the United States, and I also look at it and tell me if this is your perspective, that if we look at the next 20 years forecast for labor in the United States, we're going to need a lot of workers.
I think we already need workers.
Yeah.
And then you can tell by what happened in Florida recently.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more about that.
Well, Florida we as immigration lawyers know that this type of legislation is unconstitutional, because immigration legislation is exclusively federal jurisdiction, and the states cannot regulate that. So, but it passed because
politics.
It's politics.
Yeah.
So it passed, but more likely in the future it's going to be considered unconstitutional. What happened is, because of that, a lot of immigrants that were already there fled Florida, and now the people
to other states,
and now they need workforce that they count on before, and now they don't. They have issues with with even transportation.
Right.
There are people that were transporting goods into Florida. They was like, oh, maybe not now.
Now, you and I were talking offline beforehand about Brazil.
Yes.
And I'm biased. I think America is the greatest country in the world, but sometimes I think some people, maybe us too, can take that for granted. You mentioned how easy it was to start your LLC, or my understanding is that the immigrants that are trying to come here and stay here think it's like a dream to come to the United States.
America is a beacon for freedom, for opportunity, for so many things. I mean, you're not wrong when you say, oh, I might be biased, but America is one of the greatest. It is. There's no question about it why everybody wants to come here, because it represents something. It represents
hope.
Democracy. It represents hope. It represents a country that you are able to speak your mind without repercussion, a country that you can come and
you can
if you work hard,
labor, right?
If you work hard, if you have a path to success, that in other countries you might not have. You can see a lot of what happened in Nicaragua, Venezuela currently. You cannot, independent of what kind of politics you're affiliated with, I think it is beautiful that you have the power to speak up. It's even if it's something that you're not agreed.
Right.
It's something you have the freedom to speak.
Yes.
You don't know how rare it is until you lose it. In Brazil, we have dictatorship. Yeah. America is so blessed that it never had it, but most of the Central and South American countries have.
You don't have the freedom to speak.
You didn't, because you're in a dictatorship, and during a dictatorship, you can go against the government. I remember my father, I wasn't born yet at the time, but my father was very vocal, and he had friends during the dictatorship in Brazil that to this day, they cannot be found.
Wow.
We take it for granted, but it's like, it's worse when you know that you lost somebody. It's 10 times worse when you don't know what happened with that person.
What happened to him?
And you know that it could have been because of their political opinion, or because they were vocal against a dictator. But how are you going to mourn? How are you going to miss? You don't know. You have this big question mark that to this day my dad talked to me and says, it's like, you be conscientious that democracy is not given. You work for it. You make sure that none of your rights are taken away, because it could happen like that.
And you have to protect that.
You have to protect that. You have to have freedom for the press. A lot of people, I think, in America, I think the worst thing when I see, I don't trust the media. I don't trust, be glad that you have one that is completely open and that can talk about everything.
Well, now with Twitter and other things, everybody's their own newspaper.
Yes, correct, correct. And it's even different now on social media, because in social media you say something that could be viewed as an article, and actually it's not. It's your opinion, which also you'd be happy in America that you are allowed to have an opinion.
You're allowed to have an opinion. Well, everybody. You know, the flip side of that is everybody's a big boy behind a keyboard.
Yes,
you know,
it is. It's like it's a challenge that I think now I'm an older generation. I mean, we grew up with it, but it's not something that it was innate from when we were growing up.
Right. So, do you think that we have the process and the tools to process the volume of immigrants that are coming in right now?
I think we do.
Do we?
If we do it correctly. The problem is that it's funny because people's like, oh, we talk about gang members. Gang members like MS-13 or Mara 18. There's maybe one of the most famous, transnational gang. They're all created in America. They're all from Los Angeles.
And so, is that like coyotes trying to get people in?
No, what happens like that? This gang used to be localized in California, and then during administration, they deported all these people and created a problem even bigger, because while they have a concise group in a small area, now they were deported and they created routes where now it became a big drug issue, and a lot of people that are fleeing Central America are fleeing the gang. It's gang-related fear.
Well, and that's real too. I couldn't imagine being born into that, and then how do you get out of it, right?
It's difficult. I'm gonna tell you a little. I'm gonna tell a little bit of my experience with immigration. That would propel me to become an immigration attorney. Okay. So you know that I met my Louisiana boy, born and raised, my Cajun man, and when I met my husband, we did a long distance. And when I graduated law school in Brazil, I said, well, I'm going to come and visit. Now I have a little bit more time. I wasn't coming to live here. I just want to come and spend a month or two with my husband, with my then boyfriend, now husband. And then I came with my visa, came all prepared. And when I go through the airport and I'm proceeding to go through customs, the agent looked at me and was like, well, your English is too good. I was like, well, thank you. I was like, oh my
You're being
God,
complimentary.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's like, you have a tinge of Southern accent. Like, oh yeah, my brother go to college in Mississippi, and then my boyfriend is from Louisiana, so I guess yes, I do have it. And that little conversation, he implied that I was coming because my English was too good, that I was coming to work in America, and deny my entry, cancel my visa. And it was a terrible experience, because they bring you to this little room. You're basically detained. You feel like a criminal. You didn't do anything wrong. Aside from speaking good English. And you feel like a criminal.
How long were you in the room?
You stay there until they find a new flight for you to return to America.
So you didn't get to come?
I didn't get to come. And worse, I didn't know then, but I missed my proposal.
Wow.
Yes, they took this moment from me, and then it got me thinking. First of all, I was extremely upset because that decision from that one person changed the course of my life and is non-appealable. What that agent decided right there, it was final. Yeah. And if you think of somebody that is in and out, receiving thousands of flights, that have to make snap decisions, and
change the course
they're
of
not
your life.
Lawyers, all right? They don't know the law. They just have maybe a gut feeling, good or bad, and then they make this decision that could affect.
So how'd you get around that to where you are now?
Well, after I found out that basically while I was detained, I'm going to put the detained in quotation marks, because I was not arrested. But in a way it's detained because you're not free to go, right? So your freedom to come and go is curtailed, So while I was there, my now husband, then boyfriend, was calling everybody immigration. He was able to find a way to communicate with me. They passed the phone, and I guess he called too many people. He ended up was able to talk to me while I was detained, in quotations. And he says, like, I can't believe they didn't let my fiancé. And I was like, wait a minute. What did you say? What did you say? Repeat the lesson.
Yeah.
I was like, I was about to propose to you, and now I can do that. I was like, okay. So we talked to an immigration lawyer, and, it's like, oh, since you guys are, already taking the plunge, there is this thing called fiancé visa. So I came, I don't know if you know, there was a TV show that called 90-Day Fiancé, what like a 90-Day Bride, or something like that. It's like on TLC. Yeah. And it basically was the visa that I got in here because they canceled my tourist visa, so I had to get another visa. So
what a story. Yeah,
it was now I see it with a good eye because of that experience where I just like, I'm here. I came with all the proper documents, as most people's like, why don't you come? I was like, well, I did.
Right. And do you have your U.S. citizenship now?
Now I do. Okay. Now I do. But it took me to be an immigration lawyer to get my citizenship. You can be a resident for a lawful permanent resident for the rest of your life. And you select, you choose to be American.
Gotcha.
And I chose to be American.
Yes, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
You have a lot of pride in being American.
I do. I have a pride where I come from. I have a pride to be part of the United States, to contribute. And I think that's what I think people need to see is America is this melting pot of culture and not only a beacon, but it's America is what it is now because of that. Look at Louisiana alone. We have Spanish colonization, we have French colonization. What do you think the Boudreaux and came
French
from?
Canadian
Yes.
rejects.
What do you think that came from? It's part of our culture. You need to embrace that because
it's
it only
beautiful.
makes us better.
Yeah.
It doesn't make us worse. It only makes us better.
That's right.
Yeah. The reason that we are America is because of that.
That right there.
Yes.
Now let me ask you this. This can be a triggering topic to a lot of people, but throughout the world, what is the right amount of porous, open, closed border that you can have a process and a system where people can come in a right way?
Let's take, I don't say it was like, what is the amount of people? Let's take Europe, for instance. I don't know if you've been to Europe, but if you're a European citizen, it doesn't matter where you go. You can go and work there, right? Yeah. It's just like you don't have to get a special visa. There's a fluidity within the countries, right? That it will help you. And I think the same could have taken, especially with Mexico, because it's one of our trade partners. You could have had that, but we don't. Yeah. And I think it could be. You have to have a system.
You could have open. You can still have
an open border, but basically you have to have an account of people that are coming in and out.
Yeah, yeah.
Europe is a little different than America because America could territorially could encompass the whole.
Well, I tell people I flew once from from Seattle to Miami. And that distance is farther, I think, than from Italy to Norway.
Yes.
And there's how many different countries between Italy and Norway? They speak different languages, have different governments.
And I think because they have the fluidity, they're very open about receiving people. And I think because we're a little isolated, America is a huge country.
Vast.
We have vast. In itself, we have so many cultures. We have so many types of topography. America in itself is a beautiful place. But we're also very isolated. So I think we have a different view about receiving people. And maybe not a view that it's positive, right? Everybody says, oh, this is so fun that you were from Brazil, great. But, you're leaving here. Yeah. Are you leaving here? It's always like a question mark. And I remember...
Well, it seems like you could be part of the solution.
I'm hoping I'm being part of the solution. I think we do need to be. There is a humanitarian aspect about immigration that I think we should not set aside. The reason we are where we are, the beacon and the freedom is to receive these people that don't have anything. They don't have anywhere to go.
And it's very nuanced because there could be families that got separated. It's a difficult problem to solve, and the gangs don't help the whole conversation.
Yeah, there is a fine line because you want to keep America safe. Right. That's what a lot of people say. But the majority of the people that come here,
it's for opportunity.
Is for opportunity or fleeing and persecution, fleeing fear, fleeing lack of political opinion.
And it would be nice to, if in the process you could delineate which the good guys from the bad guys.
Yeah, but it has to be more streamlined, and that's why I think giving an opportunity to give a work visa for people that want to work in regions in America that we'll need. As I say, we're growing. We have we're creating chip facilities in U.S. that they have an opportunity for people to come and work and contribute and pay taxes, and in a process flee persecution. Why not? And
well, look, I can't thank you enough for being on Under the Knife, and you might be part of the dissection of curing some of the problems we have with immigration, and we're glad you're here. You certainly add to Louisiana. I'm glad you found a Louisiana boy.
Yes, I'm glad too. I have to say that Louisiana is the closest thing to Brazil.
Is it really?
Yeah. I tell my this is a joke. Yeah. I'm gonna tell this is a joke because I don't want people to come at me. But it's like Louisiana and Brazil are very similar because you have a lot of a welcoming. They have a celebrating culture like Brazil have. You got Mardi Gras, we got Carnival, you got corrupt politicians. So do we. So it's a joke, people. But it is, yeah.
It's true.
But I'm not directing anybody. It's just like just a little, from Louisiana back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Green.
Tell folks where they can find you.
They can find me at Instagram, Flávia Rocha Moody. You can go to Rocha Moody Law, which is my law firm. And if you have any questions, you get all my handles. If you type it, you're going to show up. So thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being on. I look forward to doing it again. And
yes.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, and a big thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in to this surgical exploration of politics, healthcare, and life. I've been your host, Dr. Craig Green. Remember to stay informed, stay sharp, and join us next time to see which of life's topics we'll dissect under the knife.